Hello, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. I was asked to address the subject of biophotons. Now we have people trying to explain how can raw plants, which are pure cellulose, how can they nourish organism? And we know from Kirlian photography that almost everything living emits photons, emits light. So now the theories behind the energy that is being provided through food is being shifted through this biophotons, since this is energy. Well, this energy should sustain us. So when we are eating raw vegetables, if they are fresh, the fresher it is, the higher is photon activity. Well, this is again childish reasoning. We know from quantum field, again, there is nothing you can really explain properly when you go into this sphere without understanding what happens in a quantum field, because our so-called reality is constructed in quantum field. Quantum field is field of pure energy, electromagnetic energy of various vibrations. And again, briefly, we are robots that have a Pentium chip which has programs, and certain frequencies are programmed to be transferred to us into creating this reality of ours. And we say, well, light is creation of everything. Yeah, but what created light? Light was created by sound, because sound was used to create the movement, which leads to collisions, to creation of electromagnetic waves and their collisions, and creation of sacred geometry, and production of magnetic and electromagnetic field and light. All this happens in a quantum field. And this is being used then to create our reality. So, if we understand that everything depends on interaction of electromagnetic waves and the particular vibration, well, everything what we see is created from light. But since light is a wave that you can isolate different wavelengths, and if you isolate them, then the white light starts turning into, depending on a wavelength that you have isolated, from red down to violet, going shorter and shorter, and wavelengths are going to bend more and more, and this is the separation. So, in one of my videos I stated that in absence of light, everything disappears. Yeah, but then was a comment, well, I turn off the light in the darkness, so there is no light. I don't see anything, but when I'm walking, I'm bumping into furniture. So things didn't disappear. Well, this is proving the point. We can only see things if they emit light or they are being lit. Otherwise we cannot see them, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist. So the light itself did not create everything. Light creates our visible reality, and things are constructed from a variety of frequencies, and not every frequency is programmed to be shown and presented to us in a form of light. Some frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies, are being processed to show firmness. And this is why wood is firm, rock is firm, water is liquid, because of a frequency and the processor that was designed to process it in this way. Some frequencies are processed through our sensor of smell. So the odor, again, you turn off the light, it still stings the same way, because it's a frequency that is not designed to be deciphered with our program as a light, but to be deciphered as a particular odor. Same is with taste. And then we have the emotional frequencies. Again, they say, oh, love is universal, God is love. Well, God does not have a creator, does not have the processor. He cannot process emotions. There is the whole system is based on interaction and support. So even the extraterrestrial beings, they are supportive of each other. They had no sense of love, because this is what we have developed. Now they are learning. What is this sensor? So, when we talk about biophotons, we are talking about Kirlian photography that can capture this. But this light, we cannot really see very well. We need help to see this, because we are not designed to see this light, unless it's amplified or shown to us in some other way. Now, because we can now see with the Kirlian photography that, let's say, cucumber, when it's fresh, emits a lot of light. And we say, well, light is energy. You expose yourself to sun, you are going to load yourself with energy. Well, is it really this way? It is like saying you have a combustion engine. You put fuel in there. Now, fuel is not organic, what we call organic or inorganic, right? I claim there is no difference, but here, to prove it, again, you have a petrol or gas that goes into combustion chamber, and then it's lit. There's explosion. It's light. So it's not living form, but creates a light, huge light, a lot of energy. So now, is the piston in the engine moving because of the light that was created there? Or is it moving because of the pressure that is created there? Completely different form of vibration. The problem with science is that it all depends on how you look at the science. Science is something we are creating. We look at things how they are, and then we try to figure out how is this working? How come we are alive? How come we do certain things that animals cannot do? How come plants do certain things that we cannot do? It's all programming. And then we start figuring out, okay, well, somebody is eating fruits. According to our understanding of biochemistry and digestive process, we know that fruit, raw vegetable, is constructed of cellulose. We cannot digest it, which means that we cannot get to that energy. And there is very little energy in juice of plant. Same like there is reasonably little amount of energy in our blood. We get way more energy if we eat fat. Plants get energy when they break down glucose. So you expose it to light. Is it really living from the light that it's receiving, or is it living from the glucose? Of course it is the glucose. Light is making it possible for you to see it. If the light goes away, the cucumber will still be there. And you will not see it, because the amount of light that it can transmit, we cannot sense. Our sensors are not designed to do this. Now the light exists, and through Kirlian photography you can see it. And you see that when it's fresh, it has more light. The longer it stays disconnected from the soil, the light is going to be dimming, because there are less movement in there, less processes are happening. The movement is going to create more light, because how is light happening? Well, light is being created from wave interaction. So if you have interaction, more interaction there is, more light will be created. But is this light providing energy for the cucumber? It's not, it's dying. So how much do you think this energy can actually help us? Plus, you put it in your digestive system. It gets fried with some acid, and then it's devoured by bacteria because we cannot digest it. The light is shut. You don't get light. But now we think, well, but if fiber cannot nourish, and cells have of plants have a membranes made out of cellulose, so even if they contain carbohydrate and if they contain protein, you cannot get to it. You simply cannot digest it unless you cook it, or with the heat you break the cellulose, or you process it and smash it. You cannot break it with chewing. Cellulose is too tough. So we keep inventing things. And if your focus is on one thing, then you are going to start putting emphasis on this thing. So it's obvious. You have some wound, and you ask surgeon, okay, well, what can we do? And surgeon will right away say, well, we'll clean it and we'll stitch it. Because this is what he does. If you go to a general practitioner, he will say, well, we can clean it and we can bandage it and regularly change the bandages so to keep the wound clean. So it's a different approach. If you go to someone that focuses on light, then that individual will find hundreds of cases proving, look, it's better with the light. When you're exposed to sunlight, it's better, da-da-da-da. But the indoor lighting is not complete because it doesn't have all the frequencies. And now the white light that is part of your sunlight, since it is not coming from the sun, but it's coming from some LED light bulb, now this is bad for your eyes and for you. It's going to destroy you. Says who? Well, because it's going to make this and this impact. Well, but there are so many factors to take in consideration. Plus, when we start understanding correctly, we understand that everything is based on frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies. And these frequencies can be turned into light, and the light then can be turned into particles. We call them photons. Now, do photons exist? The double-slit experiment shows us the truth. We think we are sending photons, but if we are not observing, if we actually do not expect any particular result, then the background is going to be like wave-headed, not like the photons, individual particles went through a slits. But when you observe it, it means that you understand what is going on, and you understand, you expect certain effects to happen, then it happens. If you don't observe it, it doesn't happen. This also proves us another thing, that every experiment we conduct, it is going to have expected result if all the parameters that we thought of make sense. If something is off, you are not really sure, but you are making the experiment just to prove it, most likely you are not going to have that experiment with the result that you wanted, because there is something missing in that, but you will see something else happening in there which will trap your attention, because it will reveal to you where you maybe are missing. There is something else going on. The whole reality is based on our expectation from what our ego expects to see from the information it has. Is possible to be fed through photons? My opinion? Yes and no. Depends on your ego. Is your ego 100% sure this can happen? No doubt whatsoever. You'll be doing good. If ego has doubt, you're not going to be doing good. And more flaws you find in this, the more you are going to be affected in an opposite way. We are energy. We are the vibration. We live in a field of energy. We call it dark matter, or we call it ether. It's energetic field. Well, dark matter is even before that energetic field. This is what this energetic field is made from. So, why do we need to eat? When a little bit more than half of a cubic centimeter contains enough energy to create the whole universe. And we are breathing the stuff in. So, why do we need to eat? Because it's a program. Like the geopath, when they when I think Japanese came up with program that you can download on your computer, and it's the animal that you have to feed and give it water every day, and if you don't do it, the animal starts having symptoms that we would have, being thirsty or being hungry, getting skinny, and slowly dying. Same thing. Well, it's a program. Why would that happen? It happens only because it's programmed. Same as with us. We are programmed that way. So, if you want to make any change, you first have to change the program. Now, if you have a strong belief is believing in the programs as well. So if you have a strong belief that you can be fed by being exposed to the sun and you don't need anything else, it has to make sense to your ego. And if it makes sense to ego, it is going to manifest it for you. If it doesn't make sense to ego, it is not going to manifest it for you. It's all manifestation. We are flickering in and out from existence, billion times a second. Same like a television screen is flickering, but 50 hertz, 50 times. We are billion times. Picture is much clearer, sharper. But still, we exist and don't exist constantly. And everything is expressed through pictures, but picture is made out of light. But light is not the only frequency that is there. There are other frequencies involved. So if the light disappears, you still have the other frequencies. Well, everything will remain, but it will be out of sight. So you have a steps. Light goes down. Well, if you don't know that there are steps, you fall down. Because again, it's variety of frequencies. So when we go to digestion, every living thing is programmed to depend on something. So in my mind, so there is not overgrowth. Because if you allow something to grow and multiply, it is going to take over the universe, unless it is controlled in some way. So the design of this three-dimensional reality of ours was, okay, so we'll have a plant. As plant grows, well, we have animal that is going to eat this plant, so we don't have overgrowth. But then, so this animal doesn't overgrow everything and kills the plant, we'll have another animal that will eat this animal. And this was put in motion as a feasible idea. Yeah, but when you project yourself into the game with your sensors, and you understand, okay, you are now on a top list of predators. This is all fine and dandy, until you realize that without a gun, you are helpless, especially if bear shows up. And then when bear bites you and flings you around, you say, what the freaking bad idea this was that one eats another. It hurts. It's terrible. Well, so now we are a little smarter for it. It's easy to create things when you don't have full picture. This is why we project ourselves into our creation to experience it and give a feedback. What is good, what is not good, how this works. And to my limited knowledge, it is obvious that not every spirit materializes itself. Because obviously, as we have not every one of us loves to jump from a plane with a parachute because, parachute may not open. Something may rip off, get stuck. You die. So not everybody wants to jump with a parachute. Same as not every spirit wants to materialize. They call them a brave spirits who do materialize because they do it to bring the information. But at the same time, we start enjoying it. And it is same like with traveling. There are people who never left anywhere. There are people who never left their village. Their whole their life they live in village, and they are afraid even to go to neighboring village. There are people who never left the country, and they are afraid. Different language. Whoa, I'm not gonna. I'm happy here where I am. But those who do, they're unstoppable. They love it. They always travel, and you always meet the same people. I know when I was sailing, and even when I cross the Atlantic and I interact with the boaters on the other side of the Atlantic, then I meet the same people I met in Caribbean. Why? Because it's a small group of people that travels. And then you find them everywhere. You say, oh, world is small. No, world is big, but only few people travel, and you always then find them wherever you go. I go in it's usually a boating supply in St. Martin, and I meet friend of boater there. And then I go into a boat store in Italy. I meet the same freaking guy. Because he's traveling, he's moving. Same is with spirits. A group of them are doing this. There are some that did it and they said, okay, now I have enough, I don't want to do it anymore. And there are some who said, thank you very much, but I'd rather assist you from the other side. Those are our guides. We all have them. We are never alone. Because this is a treacherous territory and difficult to navigate, especially now because we are in a process of shift. So things are different, very different. But going back to light and photoluminance, yes, it exists. Does it carry energy? Of course, because the energy produces it. Light is produced from energy. Light does not produce energy. Light is produced by energy. So, if something is living, producing energy, produces more light. We call it biophotons. Something is not moving, like rock, doesn't really produce light. Does it have it? Of course it has it. But in such a very small level that it cannot be detected. I don't know if this is enough information provided to shed a light on this biophotons and energetic values of this. But everything works on programs. We run on programs. If we would be designed to be nourished by light, we would not have to eat. Can we be nourished by light? No. Unless you can convince your ego that it is possible. And you have to be so convincing that there is no doubt. Can it be done? Oh, some yogis managed to do it. Years of practice, not really living. Their only idea was to do this? Well, this is nice and dandy, but we are not here to practice being dead. We are here to experience the life, to give a feedback, so the new program created is going to be more enjoyable. We are doing these programs to enjoy them. Life was created as a joy. And then, of course, mistakes are being done, because if you do not have sensors, you really cannot have full picture. So as a creator, as a spirit creator, you cannot really do it. This is why the most accomplished forms of life have been given opportunity to create in real time, which we do. We create constantly. Now we think, oh, we don't create. I never saw anybody create other than with hands you do, but you cannot create a new species because, this is genetics, this is God creation, you cannot do it. Well, no, we cannot create new species when we are living, but we can modify them. We can adjust. Now, how do you do that? Well, you can do it by different ways of feeding animal. You are forcing response of the programs. Adjustment is being done. So you may see some changes, but you can do them also with your intent, because we create through intent. You had a dog, you had a wolf. You want wolf to be a friend, you domesticate it. That's fine. But now how do you make from wolf Rottweiler? It's intent. You look at certain characteristics. I would like this an animal to look like this and this and this. And when it's small and just growing, through intent is your thoughts. Your thoughts are electromagnetic waves. They are going directed into electromagnetic being that is growing. When it's growing, it's more receptive. Russian scientists show that you can use a light as a form of carrying frequencies, and you can shine it through a duck and then into chicken egg, and then the animal that grows up is going to be combination chicken and duck. Will look partially like a chicken but have a beak as a duck, or have a feet as a duck. How is that possible? Because you take vibration, electromagnetic vibration from one organism, shooting it into fast-growing embryo, and it keeps getting this information, and shift happens. I mentioned this before in another video, that my wife had a Shih Tzu that got pregnant on the street, so we didn't know even who was the male donor. And when these little Shih Tzus came out from her, they were so cute when they started walking. And they were like mouses. I call them Shitskis. And my wife looks and said, oh, I wish one stayed so small. And guess what happened? One remained so small, never grew. It was the cutest thing ever. It was so difficult to give it a haircut. It was so small and fluffy. And I took a small scissors for nails, and I started cutting the hair, and I trim it into a miniature lion. Can you imagine this small lion and the attitude of little puppy? It was, we were pissing in our pants looking at this little thing. But how did Chihuahua happen? Exactly this way. And then somebody says, oh, it's so bad that this dog hair is all over the place. and then looks at the little puppy and says, I wish that this dog would not have this hair that falls off. And big old poodle is gone. And Portuguese water dog, they don't shed. They have a hair like we do. You have to trim it. This is how we create. You put intent, and you can modify things, and you can even create them. Only the ego has to have more freedom to do so. And now where we are going with this shift, we are raising our frequency. Right now we are receiving from sun. We said, oh, you see, sun is emitting, this light is full of activation codes. Well, sun delivers them, but it's not the light that carries them. It is the plasma. It is the wave of electromagnetic ions that are flooding us. And our dormant DNA is awakening. And when this awakens in us, we are going to be living gods. We will be able to actually create in real time. So you're hungry, you don't have to hunt, kill, cook, prepare food. All you have to do is just imagine, close your eyes, imagine it, create it with your brain. You create a picture in your brain, what you want. Then you create the smell to it, the taste, everything that you know what you would like this to taste. Even temperature. And you open your eyes, and because you expect it, because you know you can do it, because you know everything is created from frequencies, and your brain can create any frequency it is familiar with. It's transducer. It is receiver and transmitter. So it can create. If you had one steak à pois, and you remember the taste of the peppercorns, and you remember the sweetness of the meat, and all you have to do is close your eyes, make a picture of it in your third eye, recall the smells, the taste, the temperature. You open your eyes because you know, okay, you have created it. You open your eyes and it's right in front of you. And on a dish that you created for it. Or that you have prepared for it. It's a creation. We are creators. Only we are oblivious to it. We have no clue who we are. Well, now we are in a process of activation. This is why volcanoes are waking up. Earthquakes are all over the place. Okay, some of them are man-made because we are destroying the evil behind, but many earthquakes are actually happening because of this activity of the sun and the shift. It is a huge shift we are part of. And we are in the midst of it. Any day we can go through, we can pass the bridge and become enlightened. Our vibration is rising. Same as Schumann frequency is rising, our vibration, our alpha brainwave frequency is rising, and with it, the vibration of consciousness. Our consciousness, we are conscious beings. We are consciousness in a form. And vibration is increasing. When this happens, when we shift, we go into this upper level of consciousness. We call it fifth dimension or fifth density or Christ consciousness. Our programs will work differently. We will be sensitive to many more frequencies. So we are going to see more colors. We will be able to taste more different flavors. We will be more sensitive with our smell. We'll be able to smell more. we will be more receptive to light electromagnetic fields, so we will be able to telepathically communicate with plants, with animals. This is what's happening right now. We will be activated individually. Some are more prepared than others. And then those who are more prepared, with their example, they will show those that have been unprepared, so the ego can easier accept it. So all this is now in process. The big drawback is that we are having all these fake, false programs running, and this final illumination that we named solar flash, when it is going to occur, it is going to erase them. It's going to be like the acid washing. Get rid of the old stuff, so it doesn't interfere, because otherwise you always go back to the old stuff. Well, he can walk on the water, but, it's him. I cannot walk because, I have this program running behind me. He tells me, you cannot walk, you cannot do it. So it has to be erased. It's very difficult for us to erase it. Through ayahuasca ceremony once, I was dragged for almost all night after the ceremony, trying to react the way I should be reacting in this higher consciousness, and every single time I failed. And I knew I failed as soon as I was put in a situation, and my reaction was immediately protection, and then I go, no, this is not the way. You open with the heart, you go with love. So whatever happens, you smile at it. This is not how we are built. We are built with reptilian program of self-preservation, being careful, doubt, protect yourself. Until we get erase this, we cannot actually do good job in the higher frequency, high resonance. And this is why the solar flash is going to help us with this. And everything will shift after the solar flash. Not because huge changes have been done, but because these freaking programs have been subdued, erased. This is what we need. We could not do it earlier because our life depends on this. This is our protection. But we will not need it in this way on a higher frequency, because the whole system is going to be built on love and on mutual support. You will not even think of robbing someone or taking something from them. In fact, you will be always thinking, whoa, they can use this what I have because it will help them with this, and you just keep giving and giving. And this way you start receiving and receiving, because it goes around. This is the future, and future has started. Now we just have to erase this thing that is not allowing us to relax into this futuristic stuff. Okay, going back to photons, don't kid yourself, okay? Someone who is mesmerized with light is going to put everything on light, power, light. Someone who is mesmerized in genetics will go genes. Someone who is mesmerized in this and that will go push sound. Yes, sound. Sound is everything. Sound will heal. Sound will... In fact, any one of those can, if our ego accepts it, unconditionally. We call it faith. But because of all these programs, And because of the whole structure, how it is done, it cannot be done. Not in this consciousness. Yes, in new consciousness. So little patience and basically accept what's coming. Don't be afraid. It's great. I mean, now we are destroying what no longer serves us. If people would understand this, there would be no war anymore. We are already there. But because people are clinging to the past, they are projecting it. There's a big part of the planet which is in a war. And there are parts of this planet which is a bliss, no problems whatsoever. It's your choice where you want to go. Do you want to go in the crowd and yelling and throwing bricks? Or do you want to go in a forest, take a deep breath, and allow? I submit, I surrender, I am part of the shift. Your choice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope something penetrates. And God bless us all. Namaste.